Hello everyone. Many of you are familiar with me from previous classes, but for those of you who are not, my name is Dee Dorsey. I've taken several classes so far with Dr. Shannon, and I've truly enjoyed each one. So far we've already evaluated a few movies that exemplify sound leadership. These movies include Coach Carter, Crimson Tide, and Now Remember the Titans. There are many definitions of leadership, yet we all understand that the main concept is to bring out the best in the organization or in followers while striving to reach a common goal. We've seen this played out in the movies I just mentioned. Today I'm going to brief you on the movie Remember the Titans. By now, I'm sure you've all watched the movie, so you should be very familiar with it, so I'll just jump right in. Today I am going to share with you the core leadership styles of Coach Boone and Coach Yost. I'm going to tell what styles of leadership I want to emulate. I am going to describe a scene which depicts a follower who aligns with Kelly's followership description and the leadership style used in conjunction with that. And I'll end by explaining the organization's cultural concerns that the leaders in the movie had to address while reaching their goals. Now, throughout the movie, we see Coach Boone's leadership style transition from directive to supportive in accordance with the team's level of maturity and readiness. He makes it quite clear in the scene when he's first introduced to the team that he is the boss. As he states, "This is no democracy. It is a dictatorship. I am the law." Now, for those who did not believe him, initially he made a true believer out of them in the days, weeks, and months that followed. He was a transformational leader who used a strong-arm, military-like director style that proved to be beneficial for the team as a whole. Now, as a class, we've learned from our text that the transformational theory is concerned with the ethics and moral character of leaders, followers, and their endeavors. Transformational leaders promote change and raise followers to a higher moral plane as they work toward a common goal. Coach Boone understood the dismay, the tension, and the uneasiness felt by the community because of the integration of the black and white players, but allowing his team to conform to the attitude and the behavior of the community was unacceptable. Therefore, he was determined to initiate a change in the hearts and minds of his players. Coach Yost, on the other hand, was a little more subtle. He was a lot gentler with the players, which seemed to work well for his duty as an assistant. However, I don't think this would have worked for him as a head coach of the newly integrated team. Yet, and still, he utilized an authentic style of leadership in dealing with the team, his friends, and the community. I've learned from previous leadership classes that authentic leaders have strength of character, lead from the heart, speak the truth, even if it goes against the norm, and they exhibit a high level of loyalty and courage. We see this from Coach Yost throughout the movie. Even before the coaching switch was made, he refrained from engaging in the activities caused by racial tensions, and he kept his players from engaging as well. Now, after the switch was made, Yost had to humble himself to the authority of Coach Boone, despite not always agreeing with his methods. As a leader, he stood up for what was right, even when it meant losing a longtime friend and losing the acceptance of many in the community. To be exact, in one scene, he actually stood up to the referees who were unfairly calling the game. Now, his actions caused him to lose the opportunity to enter into the Hall of Fame. However, this was a great show of his loyalty to the head coach and to the team. It also displayed his high level of integrity while dealing with racial matters. As for the leadership styles depicted in the movie that I would want to emulate, I would like to encompass a mixture of both styles. As we've learned, no one style will match all situations. Therefore, I would want to be able to transition my leadership styles in accordance with whatever type of situation I was faced with. Moving on, according to Kelly's followership description. An effective leader or an effective follower, sorry about that, an effective follower thinks for themselves and are active organizational players. They are seen by others as risk takers and independent problem solvers. They assume ownership, they are self-starters, and they use their talents and resources to benefit the organization. Now, we see this exemplified by Gary Birch here throughout the movie. But in one particular scene, we see him make the decision to kick his best friend off of the team due to unethical behaviors towards their teammates. He thought it was best that he just not play with the team anymore. Now, he talked about it with Coach Boone, who recognized Gary's effectiveness as a follower and a leader, and therefore he delegated the responsibility to Gary to get it done. Now, this shows that Coach Boone trusted him enough as a follower to make a sound decision and to follow through with the proper action. Now, before I close, I want to discuss some of the cultural concerns that the leaders have to address in order to move the team to the level of desired change. Coach Boone took over as head coach during a time when racial friction was high. At first, he was there to be an assistant coach after the integration of the black and white players. Then he was later thrust into a position as head coach, replacing Coach Yost, who was the well-respected and highly successful current head coach. Now, initially, the team members and some of the coaches were skeptical about playing for the Titans after Boone took over. White players playing alongside black players was unheard of. Furthermore, being under the leadership of a black man seemed even worse, making both groups unhappy. Now, not only were they faced with the uneasiness of their racial differences, there was also a little resentment over the fact that a well-respected and highly successful head coach, Coach Yost, was being replaced for no reason other than to smooth over racial tensions. Now, he done nothing wrong, yet he was being replaced. And to top it off, this was during a season that could have guaranteed his entry into the Hall of Fame. However, both coaches were able to put their personal feelings about the situation to the side for the betterment of the team. The change began with Boone, or with Coach Boone, who charismatically helped to change the hearts and the minds of the team through tough but yet sincere methods. It continued with Coach Yost, who was more lenient than Boone, but yet who displayed a high level of morals and integrity. And then it filtered down to the players who eventually took on the personality of their leaders. These players, initially stricken with the negativity and personality of their divided communities, accepted the challenge to change their thinking and feelings toward one another in order to reach a common goal. These players ultimately became the example for their school and communities to follow. So there you have it. I've given you the core leadership styles of Coach Boone and Coach Yost. I have told you the styles I would like to emulate. I have pointed out a scene that depicted Kelly's followership description, and I've told you some of the cultural concerns the leaders have to address just to move the team toward a desired change. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from each one of you.